Hey budget family, it's Barb from Barb and I Budgets, and I'm here today to do my second video in this series of our different budgeting journeys. And today I'm going to talk about how did I start budgeting? So basically, I wasn't looking for a budget. I wasn't looking how to save money. I was just scrolling through YouTube one day. Now let me take a step back. So the truth is, I have always worked my whole life. I got a summer job when I was 14, and I worked every year after that in the summer. I started working when I was 16. I have always worked. I'm a worker bee. I like to make money, but I never made a whole lot of money. And not only did I not make a whole lot of money, I like to spend money. I like to spend money on, expensive gifts for people. I just like to spend money. And I will swipe my card and I will spend money with no regard to how much I'm spending. But the truth is, my bills have always been paid. And if I couldn't pay my bills, I would borrow, figure out how to pay it back and pay it back. About 2 years ago, I did have about $3,000 in credit card debt. And I went to the credit union at my job, my previous job, and I took a loan and I paid it off in like 10 months, paid it off, and I was completely credit card debt free. I do have about $120,000 in student loans, and I also have a mortgage. So I am in debt, but just not credit card debt, not consumer debt. So anyway, I just got a new job and I started in the beginning of June, and it was a considerable increase in pay. And I was reflecting on, the fact that I was going to make more money. Would I just spend it? Would I just spend it the way I, always spend all my money, pay the bills, and then just go out to eat? I don't know. I mean, I just can't even explain to you where my money went. So one day I prayed about it, and I was, God, listen, I really don't want to waste this money. Eventually I'm going to need to buy a car. I need to be able to save some money, and at this point I had saved about $300 or $400 in a shoebox. And I was hoping that eventually I could get enough money to have an emergency fund, because I've always heard you need an emergency fund. So one night I'm scrolling through YouTube, and I come across this video by Baddies and Budgets. And I was like, wonder what this is. Let me take a look. So I opened up the video and I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, this young girl is saving a lot of money. She's putting all this money in these envelopes. I didn't quite understand, why she was using envelopes and why she was doing savings challenges, but she was saving a lot of money. And then she talked about her side hustles, and I was like, I can do side hustles, so I was just thinking about all of those things, and I started watching her videos, and I got obsessed with her videos. I probably watched every one she's ever made, and there's a lot of them. I was watching them in the morning as I was getting ready for work. I was watching them at lunch. I was watching them, listening to them during the day while I was working. I was going to bed watching them. I was obsessed. I was like, I have to figure this out. And so basically that's how I started budgeting. And then not just only her, but then I also found Celisa over at Beautifully Me and You. And I found Sierra Monet, and I found Savannah at Sav Saves. And I was watching all these younger girls save their money. And I'm like, well, I have to be able to do this. So that's exactly how I started budgeting. I found them. I watched their videos. I started very humbly. I didn't have trackers and I didn't have envelopes. I was just doing, well, you'll see what I was doing when we do our next video, but that's how I started. I just found these YouTubers, and I'm grateful for them. I'm so grateful that I found Baddies and Budgets. It changed my financial future. I mean, I also have money going into 401k at work, but that was it. I didn't have money going into the stock market. I didn't have money saved in a bank account somewhere, and now I do. And I'm so grateful for that. So anyway, that's my how. That's how I started budgeting. I also told you guys before that I had a very frugal mother. She didn't necessarily budget, but she made sure her checkbook balances. She's the treasurer at our church, and she still uses a ledger. She refuses to use the computer. She sits every Sunday after church. She has dinner and then she sits and she writes it out, writes it out, writes it out. And that's how I do my budgeting too. I don't use my computer, I write it out. I'm very good at Excel. I just choose to have paper and pencil and write it out, and that's how I like to do it. So yeah, that was my why, and I'm glad that you are here watching my video. I appreciate it, and I will see you next week for week 3 of our different budgeting journeys. And I would like to give a big shout out to Budgeting April for making this series and having all these different budgeters. And make sure you check everybody out. And next up after me is Vita with Vicky, so make sure you go watch her video. And everybody have a great day.